Good afternoon, lovely viewers of Osho One TV. Yet again, we come your way with the best educative and entertaining kids program, proudly brought to you by Montessori Preparatory School. And I have my lovely girls from Smartees Montessori to help me with the show today. Hello, girls.
Hello.
Okay, lovely viewers, stay tuned. I hope you are glued to your TV. My ladies, are you ready to read this book?
Yes.
Are you ready for the show?
Yes.
They are ready for you. But let them introduce themselves, then I'll introduce myself, then we continue. Okay, from my left.
My name is Beyonce Adua Hayford.
My name is Genevieve Laraba Mensa.
My name is Judith Mame Fancy.
Well, lovely viewers, I hope you heard them. Stay tuned to your set and we'll be back after this short break. I, the host of this program, my name is Benjamin Edusan. Thank you for staying tuned. We come your way this and every Saturday afternoon with the best educative kids program, book reading. Beyonce, kindly start with your reading.
The Honeybee and the Bee Eater by Olusanya Adenyami.
Okay.
One sunny afternoon, the bee eater flew around looking for food. She flew for a long time, but she found nothing to eat. She kept flying and was not discouraged until she came to a large garden of flowers. The flowers were pretty and of many colors. They also had pleasant smell. The honeybee landed on one of the blue flowers. He stuck his mouth into the flower cup. He started to suck the sweet nectar from. She enjoyed the lovely taste of the juice. She went from flower to flower, sucking the juice. She began to have a nice time and was happy. The bee eater was flying by. He perched on a tall palm tree and saw the honeybee in the garden of flowers. Hey honeybee, why are you sucking all this juice from these flowers? The bee eater quarreled. The honeybee said nothing and continued to suck the nectar from the beautiful flowers of the rainbow colors: yellow, orange, red, blue, green, violet, and indigo. Can't you hear me? Asked the bee eater. Do you want to suck all the juice from these flowers? Again, the honeybee said nothing. She flew from flower to flower. Flower of all kinds: roses, daisies, forget-me-not, lilies, hibiscus, and sunflowers. The bee eater did not like that. He shouted at the honeybee, "If you do not leave these flowers alone, I am going to peg you with my sharp beak." The honeybee was not afraid. She was busy with the lovely flowers. As she hopped from one flower to the other, she pollinated the flowers so they could produce nice fruit. Now the bee eater was very angry. He flew down in a room and attempted to scrape at the bee eater with his sharp beak, but he missed because the honeybee was too fast for him. The honeybee flew up and gave the bee eater a hard sting on the head. "Hey, hey, oh," cried the bee eater. "Oh, my head," the bee eater shouted. Then he started flying in blind circles. The honeybee then flew from flower to flower. She sucked the sweet nectar and continued to have a nice time. And the bee eater flew away, mourning his injury. Thank you.
Beyonce, thank you for the nice story. It seems you were reading about flowers and I noticed your dress have a lot of flowers in them. Did you do that on purpose?
No.
You just wear it like that. Okay, lovely viewers. We are done with one. Stay tuned for more. Genevieve, yes, you can start with your book reading.
Laraba and the Kensparrot by Olamide Bamtefa. Chapter 1. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Laraba. She was very beautiful and everybody liked her, especially her father, who felt that she was one of his best behaved children. Laraba was a princess. Her father was the king of Atangu town. Usually, when Laraba woke up in the morning, she would first greet her father and mother. Though Laraba was a princess, her mother taught her to make her bed, tidy her room, and sweep some parts of the courtyard and her mother in the kitchen. After which she played with her brothers and sisters in the courtyard of the place. Laraba was a kind girl. She often asked to be allowed to walk her father's horse and play with some of the other animals kept for the king. Laraba would feed the animals and talk to them gently. The animals, especially the horses, who would usually make loud noises on seeing Laraba. Soon, the king gave Laraba a pony. What a wonderful time she had learning to ride the pony in the fields. The men also sat outside their home, talking and playing till late. When it was time for the men to guard the town walls, they were tired. Unknown to the inhabitants of Atangu, the warriors who attacked their neighbors had spent spies to live with them. The spies regularly report the habits of the inhabitants of Atangu and the warriors. After hearing that the men and women of Atangu were no longer careful, the warriors entered the room and took cattle, women and children away. Alas, the king's palace was also attacked, and the king's servants and children were taken away by the warriors. This was how it happened. Chapter 3. Sule, one of the king's guard, was well known for his storytelling habit, especially after taking a few cups of the local drink known as kunu. Sule was also a petty thief who stole dried meat and corn from the king's wives. Sule, however, loved the king's children and ran errands for the king's wives often. Because of Sule's unpleasant ways, the king had thought of sending him away from the place, but many people pleaded with the king, who sent for Sule and warned him to be of good behavior. Sule did not change his ways. However, when one of the spies heard about Sule and his behavior, he chose to befriend him so as to get information about the activities in the palace from him. The spy's name was Abdul. One day, in order to get Sule's attention, Abdul dressed up like a beggar and passed by where Sule stood guard in front of the place. Just as he was about to lean past Sule, Abdul pretended to hit his foot against a stone and fell down. Sule rushed to help the beggar up and afterwards offered him some water and bread. "Thank you," said the beggar. "You are welcome, Sanu," replied Sule. "I don't know how I fell down, but I simply found myself on the floor. Thank you. You are a kind man," said the beggar as he took the bread and water offered him by Sule. "My name is Sule." "Sule, my name is Abdul. This toe is very painful," said the beggar, rubbing his foot. "I am sorry to hear that. Can I rest for a while? The sun is quite high up." "Yes, you can. but other guards may soon come here, so I cannot allow you to wait for long. Thank you, Sule. You are kind. So you are a guard here? Yes, replied Sule, feeling quite important. You are feeling quite important. You are a very lucky man. Why do you say so? Well, only very important people guard kind people. King's Palace. Thank you, said Sule. While I am resting here with you, can I tell you a story? Granted, Sule, deep in thought. You may, but please keep your voice down. All right, I will. So that was how Abdul began telling Sule many stories, short but interesting stories of warriors who went round town stealing. At some point, Sule became uncomfortable and asked Abdul, "How come you know so much about these warriors who steal from several towns? I have heard about them, but you seem to know a lot about what they do." Haba, Sule, I only hear people in the town talk about them. Abdul was afraid that Sule might soon suspect and dislike him. He therefore changed the subject of his discussion quickly. Sule, do you know that I can play the flute made from bamboo sticks? Really? Yes, I have one here. Abdul brought out a small flute, which he began to play softly. Sule was excited. As the beggar played, he sang Sule's praises. Very soon, Sule began dancing gleefully, praising up and down. The beggar played many more tunes, but he eventually stopped when he noticed that Sule was getting tired of dancing. He bade Sule good night and left. Sule was so tired that he did not notice that the beggar who had earlier limped to the front of the palace now got up and...
Oh, lovely viewers. I really enjoyed the story. Laraba and the Kensparrot. Especially the part where the person slipped and fell and didn't know how he fell down. How can you fall without knowing how you fell down? Well, stay tuned. We'll be back after this short commercial break. Welcome back, lovely viewers. We were reading Laraba and the Kensparrot. So we have our beautiful Judith to continue the story for us. So Judith, start with your book.
Chapter 7. Now the king of Muntuba played a great Deba event to which he invited kings and princes from the neighboring towns. Laraba was quite
Can you read louder, please?
Laraba was quite exhausted as she remembered the Deba event in her town. She remembered that she was always happy to stay at a stable where her father's horses were being looked after with a great care in preparation for the Deba in her town. 2 days before the great Deba in Mutumba, Laraba went to the king's stable to look at the horses. As she was looking around the stable, a well-dressed young man came in. Laraba noticed that he was very good looking. She noticed that he was followed by some young men who walked at a respectable distance. Some other men holding big fans and umbrellas also followed him and paid obeisance to him. Laraba knew immediately that the young man was the crown prince. She immediately fell on her knees and bowed down. She had heard a lot of him but never met him. in spite of her shabby clothing. The crown prince noticed Laraba, what a well-behaved young girl, he thought, but he did not ask who she was. He looked around the stable and patted the king's horses. Laraba overheard the crown prince talking about the horse he liked best. He told the men who followed him sadly that the horse was rather old and may not be used as the deba. Oh, impious! Labara spoke up. Oh, crown prince, the horse may be old, but it's still strong. It's a good horse too. The crown prince now looked at her and said, "Get up, young lady. What did you just say?" Labara was afraid, but she replied, "Your Highness, I said the horse may be old, but it's still strong." "Well, what do you know? We just might use the horse." "Thank you, Your Highness," said Labara. The crown prince quickly walked off, not knowing who the young lady was. To him, she was beautiful even in her shabby clothes. Unfortunately, she was only a servant. Chapter 8. As soon as the crown prince left the stable, he went to see the king. The king was discussing with his chief. Not long after Crown Prince Musa got to the palace, his mother came in to see the king. The king asked everyone in the palace except the crown prince to leave as soon as she came in. The crown prince's mother sat beside the king and expressed deep concern about the crown prince, who was now at a marriageable age but had not settled down. The king listened and told his wife, "Well, Musa, you will settle down soon, I'm sure." As soon as she left, the king looked at the crown prince and said to him, "You heard your mother. We have introduced some young ladies from good homes to you, but you told us did not like any of them. When do you intend to get married, and who is the lady of your choice?" The crown prince gave the usual excuse, "Your Highness, I will settle down as soon as I meet the lady of my dreams. I hope that I will meet her soon." The prince usually excused that he had not found anyone who was beautiful and well-mannered enough for him to marry in Mutumba. After the prince left, the king decided that it was time to employ the services of the Malamis to pray and predict who would be the crown prince's future partner. The king's Malamis were summoned. The king's tone was very grave indeed as he spoke to the Malamis. "Welcome, wise men," said the king. You all know my son, Crown Prince Musa. It is my wish that he settle down with a good future partner soon. However, he has not met any woman who interests him. Wise men, I want you to go, pray and come back in 8 days to tell me who will be the crown prince Musa future wife. Anyone whose prediction is wrong will eventually be banished from my kingdom. The Malami whose prediction comes true will, however, be given cattle, horses, and many precious goods from my kingdom. The Malamis knew that the king was indeed unhappy, and they were all very worried too. On the 8th day, the Malamis, who were 6 in number, came back with several different predictions. The first one, who had a long white beard, got up and said, "Long may you live, O king. I have prayed and predict that the crown prince's wife will come from a distant land where there are many hills and cattle. She will be beautiful indeed, and she will come with great health. The crown prince will meet her during on one of his journeys outside the kingdom." "Well said," muttered the king. The second Malami, who looked sad and scared, said in a thin and shaky voice, "O king, long may you live. The crown prince's wife will come from one of the neighboring villages to this kingdom. She will be a very beautiful girl from a wealthy family. She will therefore bring great wealth with her. The crown prince will love her very much and they will have many children." Well said, muttered the king, shaking his head gently. Next came the third Malami in a long flowing groan. "Long may you live, O king. Crown Prince Musa future partner will come from another country. She will be short but very beautiful. She will not come with great wealth, but she will bear him many sons." Well said, muttered the king and totally confused. Next came the fourth Malami, looking quite happy and confident. "Long may you live, O king. Crown Prince Musa future partner will neither be short nor tall. She will, however, be beautiful indeed. She will come with great wealth. The crown prince will meet her at the next great Deva, which will be held in this kingdom. He will therefore be prepared to meet his bride." The king muttered. Well said. All the Malamis predicted that Crown Prince Musa would meet a very beautiful girl who would become his bride, except an old trustless Malami, whom the king did not consult because of his age, but too.
Wow. Lovely viewers, all too soon, her time is up. And I really love the story she was reading. What is the criteria of your dream man or your dream lady? I hope you heard a lot from the book. Beyonce, what did your book talk about?
There were two animals, the honeybee and the bee-eater. The honeybee flew around looking for food. He flew for a long time, but he could not get food to eat until she came to a large garden of flowers before he got food to eat. Thank you.
Okay, but I hope you heard her. But I also heard she said something that the bee-eater wanted to peck the honeybee just for eating flower and pollen and nectar from the flowers. But I will say that the bee-eater got stung by the bee and he flew away, mourning the injury. It's better you leave people alone. The bee was just going about its normal business, eating pollen and sucking nectar. So my little advice I could give viewers who are watching is that sometimes you have to leave people be for them to do what they usually do. Okay, thank you, Beyonce. Genevieve, what does your story talk about?
It talks about a girl called Laraba. She was very beautiful. She was the respectful girl among his children, and the king told her that she should be respectful, and although she was a princess, her mother told her to tidy her room and do all the duties in the house. And one day he met a very beautiful prince and he told him that he will marry him, and the king also advised and he said that he will make her marry him.
Okay, lovely viewers. I hope you heard her. So the story talks about a princess called Laraba. Although she was a princess, but she was taught to tidy up the house. Nowadays, 21st century ladies, well, it's an issue I don't want to discuss. They have a problem with housekeeping skills. Yes, I know this will start a debate, but that's the truth. But although Laraba was a princess, she was taught to tidy up her home and her place, and luckily for her, she got married by a prince. Asampa, Judith. Yes.
I heard that the king was looking for a girl for the prince, and they went to Sis Malamis to go and pray and predict a girl. One said one would be short, not tall. And one also said one will come from one kingdom. One also said she will be short, but not all things that she can do. One said not all things that she can always do. They must go for a maid.
Okay. Lovely viewers, I hope you heard a little summary about the book. I really enjoyed the book. The criteria of people's prediction. Nowadays, people, when they get to the marriageable age, then they begin to write criteria. Short, tall, wedding family. Some even use physical features. But you heard from the story that none of their prediction came true. The king, the prince settled for a young servant. So it's better that you pray and look up to God. Okay, lovely viewers, we'll be back after this short commercial break. Welcome back from the short commercial break. I hope you enjoyed the reading. Now, it's up to them to give us an advice. What they will tell you, the viewer at home, and the kids who are watching now. So, Beyonce, what would you tell the children who are watching and the viewers?
They shouldn't be greedy about someone.
Wow, she said you should not be greedy about someone. And it's from the story. The honeybee was just eating the honey and the nectar, and somebody else got jealous. In the end, he got stung by a bee. I don't know if you have been stung by a bee, but trust me, it's an experience you will not love to be in. A bee sting. Don't worry. It's very, 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 very painful. Okay, thank you, my dear. Yes, Genevieve, what do you tell viewers?
I advise children that they should be like Laraba. They should respect their parents and do the house duties.
My dear viewers, I hope you heard my little girl. She said you should respect and do your house chores. Nowadays, people will prefer watching television over house chores. Some, they do it so much that they even forget their homeworks. So please, my dear ones watching me, take your house chores and your homework seriously. Okay, Judith, what do you tell viewers?
I advise them that they should be obedient.
Wow. Simply put, want to tell the kids that we have to be obedient, and not only kids, even the grown-ups too. You have to obey the person you are under. Thank you, my lovely girls from Smartees Montessori. I, the host of this program, my name is Benjamin Edusam. Thanks to the cameraman, the crew, the mic, the MCR, and everybody who made this program possible. Not forgetting my co-host, Janet Irabna Asiedu. Thank you for watching. Bye. See you next week. Bye-bye.